No news and entertainment. Sounds pretty good to me. Won't you use FM for news and entertainment? Sounds pretty good to me.
Hello, everybody. We are still very much here, live and direct from OGM News. Yeah, yesterday I was screaming at the top of my lungs because it's crazy and it's scary, But today I will turn it down a little bit, okay? Just to be able to focus on the fact of what is going on in the market and in the economy. Okay, so now things are pretty much in a standstill. Well, not in a standstill because it's going down the drain. Because after the what is called reciprocal tariff, or something that doesn't make any sense to me, after that, the economy have been struggling really hard to find its track. But some have officially declared now that we are in recession. It's a very hard call. It's not easy to buy, but look, that's the reality. That's the reality. And the funny thing about all this. Now, before we go on, I will have to welcome you all, and at the same time, ask about your welfare. How are you coping? Because now everybody now has to think about how to cope, because coping is what we need to do to survive this. To survive this, I still believe you are breathing, and if you continue to breathe, I guess we're gonna survive this just like we survived COVID-19, and we're gonna be here. But I feel bad because a lot of people will not be able to make it through when things like this happen. A lot of people will get caught up and will not be able to make it through. And it is sad. It is sad because when you welcome a new government like this, it's supposed to be a very good news, a change around, especially when the country has been complaining that there is a hike in price of commodity in the past. Now that we have this new administration, it should be different. It should be different. And I got to this country and I find out that you guys have a particular saying, a proverb, shall I say, of the Americans. You guys say, if it is not broken, don't fix it. And that's exactly what the problem is here. If it is not broken, do not fix it. But it's like we are putting so many things in motion that is not needed. That is not needed. Well, my very first video for you today is coming from CNBC business segment. And this is trying to get sense out of what this tariff really is. I have two videos actually for you on this particular tariff, just to be able to get a perspective. Let's get a perspective on what this tariff is. A lot of people have been saying it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that you tax an island that is only being occupied by penguin. Literally, McDonald Island has no human occupants, only penguin. So we want to make sense out of this tariff. Why in the world will president tax or put a tariff on an island that has penguin living on it, that has practically nothing coming from there to the United States? And that's not the only one. There are so many countries on this list of tariffs that has no business whatsoever with the United States. And yet, they are being levied tariff. So let's make sense of this, if any sense is in it at all. But first, let's listen to this video from CNBC.
We're sitting there on the desk last night. President Trump says we're charging people half of what they charge us. He puts up that, now I'm going to say, famous poster board. And I'm looking at those tariffs. I'm like, wait a second, I don't know the tariffs like an encyclopedia, but I'm pretty sure European tariffs are not 39%. I think I know that countries like Switzerland have like almost no tariffs, and Singapore. I think the European tariffs are like 4%. And like, where are these numbers coming from? I get offset and I start getting emails from the economists and the international trade experts I know. And they're like, what the heck are those numbers? And nobody really understood where those numbers came from. And I think David said like at 5:30 or so, somebody who was not in the international trade community because they couldn't understand it, started doing the math, and it is what Sarah was saying earlier. It's the trade deficit half of the trade deficit divided by the imports. Now, let me show you. Let me show you a comment from the White House on where this came from. The White House official telling reporters yesterday, quote, I want to emphasize here that these tariffs are customized to each country and the numbers have been calculated by the Council of Economic Advisors using very, very well-established methodologies from the International Trade Economic economic literature. So then I started calling international trade economic experts, and nobody ever heard of this formula. Nobody has ever used this formula. So,
Okay, so when you hear a big language like that, like, we use some well-established methodology, when you hear that in economics especially, it means nothing. Because most of the calculations that help us to figure things out in economics usually have a name. But when they don't have a specific name for it, it only means one thing. It means nothing. That means we employ no methods. There's no strategy behind these. Okay. Now, the lie here is that these was, work together with the World Economic, the global trade something, But at the end of the day, when he makes his call, that didn't happen.
So I'm sorry, but the conclusion seems to be the president kind of made this up as he went along. He made up, and I think what Sarah was saying was interesting. There was an anticipation, okay, it was going to be reciprocal. These are off the charts and nowhere near what other countries charge us. And unfortunately, it makes us into one of the highest, maybe the highest tariff country in at least the developed world, a lot like a lot of sort of developed.
So, see, it's I don't know. This is unnecessary. But I kind of have a feeling here that the president is trying to do something here, but the problem is he doesn't just know what to do. He's incompetent. That's the way I will put it. I believe seriously he's trying to do something, except for the tweet he was reposting today, which is outrageous. I will show you that later. The president sent a tweet amidst all these problems, this nonsense, sent a tweet as if he was celebrating the downfall of America. Purposely. I will show you that later. But that tweet apart, or Truth Social apart, it all seems like the president sincerely is trying to do something here, but the guy just don't know what he's doing. Sincerely, seriously speaking, I will give it to him that is trying to do something, but they just don't know how to fix this or how to do something. Like do something magically to make an impact. Like you're forcing yourself, like the president is forcing himself to make an impact that is unnecessary. I kind of would have really loved it if the president just leave the economy the way it is, just leave it the way it is. It's not broken. There's no, all this is not necessary. It's not. Would have been better if he just leave things the way it is, rather than just complicating everything, messing it up, burning it all down, and then now he's gone golfing. Now, this next video analyze the formula behind this tariff. And you look, just listen carefully, because I don't know how else I can explain this to you, but this guy from Bloomberg explained it carefully, and you will understand that there is nothing sensible behind this calculation that brought up this reciprocal tariff in the first place, because that's what they call it, reciprocal tariff. Because at the end of the day, many of the countries were levied tariffs that doesn't make any sense. For example, the calculation shows about 60+% from China, but then the tariff the president gave China was about 30%. That isn't reciprocal. That means if that is true, we're still being slaughtered by China. But the actual truth behind the calculation has nothing to do with tariff. It has nothing to do with tariffs. Just listen to this next video from Bloomberg.
You've probably seen this equation quite a lot in the last few hours.
Okay, I'll pause it for some of you. If you want to take a snapshot of it, take a snapshot of it. But because this is the calculation or the formula sent out by the White House that they use to calculate this. So the X there is export, whereas the M will stand for imports. But the gibberish down there, look, I spent all my life, calculating economics. I've never seen anything like that before,
In the last few hours, it's got, by my count, 5 separate Greek letters in it, and it's what the US Trade Representative's office says it used to calculate reciprocal tariffs on the rest of the world. It looks very impressive because it's in Greek. Ultimately, I would suggest this is nonsense. They are going to divide the amount that a country exported to the US by the amount that the US exported back to them. So, for example, if you sell 70% more stuff to the US than the US sells to you, that comes to 70%, according to those Greek letters. That then becomes this number here in this also very famous
Vietnam, 90%.
Which is...
Hold on, I'll go back to that a little bit so you can see.
Which is...
So that particular one there clarifies it a lot, so that's why I'm trying to go back into that part where it shows Vietnam tariff.
Described here as the average tariff charged to the US comes to 70%, according to those Greek letters. That then becomes this number here in this...
Okay, we'll pause there. Now, the reason is that now Vietnam is showing 90%, okay? And a reciprocal from US tariff is about, I think, about 30-something percent. That doesn't make any sense. How is it possible that Vietnam is levying tariffs on us about 90% and then you reciprocate with 30%? That is not reciprocal, because reciprocal should be equal. Now, because he's covering that part with his hands, let's focus on China. China has 67% that they levy on United States, according to them, according to the White House. That tariff charged to the United States is 67%. But then United States discounted reciprocal tariff is 34%. How is that even possible? How is it possible that China is levying United States 67% tariff and then you return favor with 34%? And then you think that is fighting back. Well, the only way to explain this is because this all nonsense that you see in front of you is not tariffs. It's not tariffs. Because going by that silly calculations, it means that this is just import versus export. That means goods coming from China is about 67% compared to that of 34% going to the other way. According to their calculations. That is why everybody keeps saying, look, we understand you want a tariff, but this just don't make any sense.
So here in this also very famous chart now,
yeah, 90 to 46.
Here is the average tariff charged to the US. That's not actually what it is. It's not a measure of trade barriers. It's a measure of the trade gap between two countries.
The trade difference
by whatever means.
between export and import.
To give you an idea of how ridiculous
Unbelievable.
this is, let's take Bangladesh, which apparently has a 74% tariff on the US. What that actually means is that Bangladesh is a very poor country that can't afford to buy much stuff from the US, but that is very dependent on exports, which it's able to have some success in because its people are paid very little money. It's a measure of the imbalance in the trade relationship, not a measure of the trade barriers that Bangladesh is putting up. The reciprocal tariff against them is reciprocating against an imbalance of trade which is natural between poor and rich countries, not reciprocating against a trade barrier. There is a definition of reciprocal tariffs which doesn't need Greek letters, which is very simply, you tariff us, we'll tariff you the same back.
It's that simple. It's that simple. That is why we don't understand this. Now, if you are actually talking about tariffs, there is no tariff coming from China that is up to 67%. It doesn't make any sense. But yes, you can say 67% goods coming from China and compared to about 30-something% going back the other way. Okay? So now, Vietnam, you can say about 90% of goods coming from Vietnam to the United States, whereas going the other way is not much because they cannot, in Vietnam, they mostly cannot afford goods coming from the United States in the first place. But then there are so many Vietnamese in the United States that they bring in a lot of things, and this is calculated as part of the goods coming to the United States. So in the end of the day, that particular chart that or paper that the president was holding on to yesterday, being called tariffs, there's nothing tariff about that paper. It's as simple as that. And that is why everything is all messed up. It's all messed up. It's all messed up. Everything is all messed up. We don't even know where to begin. Because the reaction you see in the markets today, that reaction is not just about the idea of tariffs. If there is anything called tariff at all in this whole scenario, the panicking you see that causes all these loss of money is because nobody can figure out what is going on. It's all messed up. Completely messed up. Even the country on the other side that were being tariffed, they can't figure out, okay, what are we supposed to pay? What are we supposed to negotiate? Nobody can figure anything out. And I begin to think, look, I understand the president is not a mathematician. Okay? They probably don't understand simple arithmetic, let alone maths. But what about are you kidding me? Is there any expert hired in that White House that knows what they are really doing? To tell the president, look, yes, this is just a trade difference. in a matter of quantity. It's not about how much is being taxed the US. Look, this is the actual tax, because no country in Europe is taxing United States upward of, it's not up to 10%. Most of the country that tax United States more is about 4%. So what are we reciprocating? What is United States reciprocating here? Just like you can hear clearly in the Bloomberg video, Swiss more or less have zero tax from all the goods coming from the United States. Most country in Europe is about 4% on all goods coming from the United States. And that is the reasonable tax from all over the world. You hardly see any country charging more than 10%. It doesn't make any sense to anyone. It doesn't help. I don't know how to begin with this, but I really, really, really will implore you guys out there to take your time and learn the curve of these things, because it's not that hard. The president is making it look complicated, but it's not that complicated. It's not that complicated. And here we are, 2,240 points lost within 2 days. Within 2 days, averaging 1,000 plus every day. Oh my word. Can you imagine how devastating that is? Can you imagine?
About half its peak during the COVID drawdown. So if you think back to how bad things looked then, I'm thinking Friday of March in 2020, it's only half as bad as that. Gotta keep an eye on that fear gauge.
Great perspective to end on, folks. The Dow in correction, it loses.
Do you hear that? I'm going to make sure I play this again, because I want to make sure that, because yesterday I figured out somehow this thing did not work, and you guys didn't hear the video when playing. But on Fox News, they just literally said that the market is in correction. Listen to that again.
On that fear gauge.
Great perspective to end on, folks. The Dow in correction, it loses.
The Dow in correction? I mean, that's what you just heard. Even for a layman that has no clue what is going on in the stock market, 2,232 points lost in 2 days is a correction? That is a correction? No. Let me paint it clearly, guys. That is not a correction. That is a collection. That is not a correction. That is born into flames, into ashes. The market is completely burnt into ashes. Between that period yesterday till now, trillions of dollars have been lost. I mean, let me share this quickly. Okay? Today, one of the stock market posts, very popular one on X, okay? Share this that you are seeing on your screen. I will make it big so you can see. Say, just in, and the calculation just summarized that U.S. stock market officials lost $10 trillion since President Trump was inaugurated 2 months ago. In just 2 months, America lost 10 trillion. 10 trillion. How much is the United States owing? About 31 trillion. One third of what we are owing as debt, lost since it started 2 months ago. I'm sorry. And some fools out there think this is a joke. Some fools out there are still going around wearing some crazy heart, and think this is like you are supporting your football team, like you're standing up for your football team. Here is another one. Today is the worst day in the stock market since 2020. That's not even factual as crypto, because it's worse than that. Well, let's just assume since 2020. Do you remember who was the president 2020? In 2020, do you remember who was the president? Today is the worst day in the US stock market since 2020. Please, guys, who was the president in 2020? Who? The same guy. The same guy came back to beat his own record. The same man came back into the presidency to beat his own horrible record. That is where we are right now. Today signifies the worst day in the stock market since 2020. And guess who was the president then? The same man. He came back to break his own horrible record. Because COVID-19 issue then drove the United States into that problem where we record one of the worst day in the stock market in 2020. But I said earlier that this is not even factual because some people have all their ideas about this. It's a different thing some people are saying. And that is why I'm going to share this next one, okay? Bear with me, because I'm going to have to take this one out before that one comes in, because I need my video to play so that you can hear it. So that you can hear it. All right, here is this one.
Yeah, it's very much more of the same and getting worse. I'm just looking over my shoulder here, checking the board. The Dow down more than 2,000 points. The S&P down over 5.5%, and the NASDAQ also down more than 5.5%. I think one analyst, Dan Ives from Wedbush, he's an analyst there, said it best. He says he's been covering the markets and tech stocks for 25 years, and he's never seen anything like this. He referred to the dot-com bubble, the financial crisis, and COVID. He says he's never seen anything like this because this is self-inflicted.
Okay, so if you are maybe around 40 years old, like around, let's just say 37, because if you're 35, you probably don't remember all those era that she was saying there, but those who remember those era, we know exactly what it looks like. So that's why I said the other analysis that is the worst since 2020 is just, no, that's not it. It's worse than that. Many that I've been speaking to said this is the worst for almost 30 years. And the funny thing is that it's self-inflicted.
His word. But this did not have to happen. We do not have to be seeing these numbers right now on Wall Street. But the president's trade war and the escalations that have followed have put us in this position. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Look, it doesn't matter where you stand. Even if you support this man and you vote for him, I think it is in order for you to call him to order. If you support this man and vote for him, I think it's reasonable. I think it's just for your own good to call him to order. Or else, it's just going to burn everything into ashes. Your lives, our lives, everybody's livelihood gone. And I hear some idiots telling me, saying today that, oh, it's just stock market. Stock market has anything that has nothing to do with real life that is going on. Look, when the stock market is this bad, that is a representation of what is going on in real life. Because who, by the way, is investing in the stock market? Because I don't want to hear things again. That, you keep saying, look, if the stock market is great, and president comes out and says, yeah, the stock market is good, thumbs up, that's my job. I think it's in order to use the stock market as a measure of his performance. I believe it's in order. So stop listening to those analyses that tells you that stock market is different from real market. Like as if, our financial market is different from real economy. Is one in all is the same. Because the reaction you see in the stock market is as a result of what happens in the real economy. So if the stock market is great and the president is praising himself, is in order. So at the same time, if the stock market is crashing, and then we're using that to measure the president, we are all in order. Because the average people who invest in the stock market are doing so because they get reward from the real economy. If your reward in the real economy is in shambles, there's no way you can invest in the financial economy, which is the financial market, which is the stock market, or other financial assets. So you got to be able to see some reward in real economy. In secular lives, your job is secured. Your paycheck is arriving at the right time. The farmers are able to make money. The real sector, the companies are able to sell their goods and make money. And when their wallet is filled with profits, they go into the stock market and invest. So do not tear it apart. Stop making it look like it's different. The stock market is a perfect representation of what happens in the real economy. If the stock market is doing fine, the real economy is laughing, smiling. And it's the same thing if the stock market is going down the drain. That means the real economy is down the drain as well. And that's exactly what is happening now. Many companies already announced laid off. Michigan is already suffering now. Mercedes, Volkswagen, every one of them coming out now announcing that they're going to lay off workers. What do you expect? How are they going to cope? Now with these, and for the life of me, I don't know what this man is trying to achieve. I don't know. Nobody can explain exactly what he is trying to achieve. But guess what? Guess what? Aaron just shared this today, which is laughable. This is the tweet I was talking about earlier. The president, after crashing the economy, after burning it all down, went away in vacation, golfing, and then he sent this to the Americans, retweeting this in front of you, or reposting it on Truth Social, what you see right in front of you. From American Papa Bear. American Papa Bear said, Trump is purposely crashing the market. And Trump reposted that. Your president reposted that. He is purposely crashing the market. We are not okay. We are definitely not okay. And our sickness is a fish that is rotten in the head. In order for this rot not to infect the whole fish, that head needs to go. I'm sorry. Symbolically here, House of Congress, Senate has to do something fast. I don't know what it is, but they have to do something fast to rescue this country from this mayhem, unnecessary mayhem. Your president, after crashing the economy, losing $10 trillion since inauguration, now went away golfing. And then, in his own pleasure, he sent this heartbreak to Americans. He sent this heartbreak right in front of us to Americans. Trump is purposely crashing the economy. That is a middle finger on everybody. For you, for me. It doesn't matter who voted for him or who doesn't. Middle finger for every one of you. That's your president. That is your president. That is your president, everybody. Went golfing after crashing it all, after burning it down. And then he's sending this post right in front of me. Trump is purposely crashing the market, purposely ruining your lives, purposely ruining your lives, purposely erasing your 401ks, purposely burning down all your retirement, purposely ruining everybody's life. The president of the United States purposely burning this country down. And I wonder, why is that? To whose benefit? Why is that? Because if he is reposting this nonsense, that is an endorsement. That's exactly what he's trying to do. Or perhaps he's so messed up that he just don't know what to say. He just have to say something to make it look more crazy. It's crazy already, but I just don't know how else to explain this. Amy Klobuchar, senator, has this to say.
I didn't think of their bottom lines as much as I thought of the people I know that work there. I thought of those people that work in the checkout aisles. I thought of the farmers who I saw on a 14-county tour I took in Minnesota who have small farms. Those people are going to be hit right away, Katie. Some of the big companies can handle this for a while, but the workers who may lose their jobs or the farmers who just barely make it and are already having so many headwinds at them with avian flu and input costs and weather events, this is the thing that could put them over. So he is messing around with people's lives. This is not just, well, he's out golfing. This is their entire life, their hard-earned savings. Seniors who are looking at their 401ks or their Social Security numbers and thinking, I'm not going to be able to make it. I worked my whole life. He had better look at this, and he better reverse course, and he better get back on track.
Okay. He's better reverse course. Okay. While we are all here worried, your president is off golfing and posting this to you all. To you all, he's posting this. Look, everybody have said what they have to say, but the only thing I'm just going to say is this. From the beginning, when he came back into this presidency, believe it or not, I want him to succeed. I know he's going to be a problem. I know this is going to happen from the issue of Project 2025, from everything he has said in the campaign that clearly shows that this is what he's going to do. You know, it's a common sense. You don't need to be an expert to know that this will happen. But for the sake of people, for the sake of people, common people who need just to be able to cope with life itself that is already hard and painful. There is no need to be heartless, to be cruel, and continue to pound these Americans that are already pressed down with different kind of problem. Sick Americans who need medical attention, who need medical care. They don't need additional problem, additional pain. I'm hearing you all, these Republicans in the Senate and in the House, that are licking these presidents behind. I can hear you, that you want us to go through pain. But I'm telling you now, people are already in pain. They do not have any more to give. And it is unfortunate that you keep lying that this economy was in shambles, but no, the economy was doing fine. The best that survived out of COVID in the world. No economy in the world can match that of the United States coming out of COVID-19. So stop telling people lies, because this is not broken and it don't need anyone's fix. But guess what? You said if it's not broken, don't fix it. Because if you fix it when it's not broken, guess what's going to happen? Guess what's going to happen? Exactly what is happening now. Exactly what is happening now. The worst day since 2020. Losing trillions in 2 days. Imagine how much that will pay out of what the United States is owing. And if you lose more money in this kind of situation, guess what happens to your debt? It goes up. It goes up. So let me tell you clearly here, this is an incompetent presidency, period. They do not know what they are doing. Because if you look at where we start off from today, you see clearly the whole calculation behind the tariffs is nonsensical. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. I still believe I'm average in economics, and I can't make any sense of it. I'm still average because I only taught in the community college, but I still can't make any sense of this. Okay, that is me. But what about experts looking at it? They can't make any sense out of it. So this is incompetency all around. It's just the bottom line. The bottom line is that this presidency is incompetent, period. And we do not know what is going to happen next. Everybody is saying, oh, we wanted to look at this and then recall it. Even if he recalls it, the damage that is already done, he is not capable of fixing it. And I will draw the curtain of this show to a close at this very moment. For you guys who have been listening and watching, thank you very much for your listening pleasure. This is OGM News. Okay? We are on FM radio. We are also here on different kind of platform, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on TikTok, if TikTok is alive tomorrow, and every other social media platform. Please subscribe and follow us and click the notification bell, because at every 6 o'clock, Monday to Friday, I will be here. I will be here Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Sala Blue for Code Blue in America. For now, I'll say bye and take good care of yourselves.
Trumpnews FM for news and entertainment. Sounds pretty good to me. OGM News FM for news and entertainment. Sounds pretty good to me. For news and entertainment. Sounds pretty good to me. Trumpnews FM for news and entertainment. Sounds pretty good to me.